Well, let's get going. It's a nice day out and we can get that early. We'll go enjoy the outdoors. Well, thank you for all coming. We'll call the meeting to order here at 6:38. And we get a printout of the minutes.
He's got it.
Okay. So you guys review the minutes. Marcel, you weren't part of that,
Yeah.
so
Kind of Greek to me.
we can just
You can abstain. That's fine.
abstain. It should be pretty easy. We just had Elliot speak to us.
Yeah. And some discussion, but nothing. I don't think any decisions were made or anything like that.
And then new member applications and Marcel and Rob. All right. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll motion to approve them.
Nope.
All right, motion and second. All those approved, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We needed to get that done for a long time.
All right, well, welcome Marcel. Marcel is our newest member with Robbie Walters, who, and Marcel, Raji is Ernie's son, who is on our board here since we started it, so passing the torch. So
Yes.
thank you for picking that torch up and joining us. And do you want to just describe or talk about a little bit about your background here in Sandy and your business?
Sure.
Yeah.
I thought about, I don't work for Ericsson. Saw that, know that. That's one of our customers, so. That's sort of over. No, my family has lived in Sandy really since about 1984 and then really full time since the early 90s. We own the building there between Double Dragon and the dentist. So what's that? Beaverbrook, yeah, Beaverbrook Dentist there. So most people don't even know that there's a building there. Yep. And we own AEC, which is a technical publications company that started here in Oregon. We're probably about 50 employees right now. Most of that is, almost all of that is remote, except for about 4 or 5 of us that are still here in the Sandy office. And we have a remote office in Costa Rica, so we're get to play in that world a little bit as well. So
Right off travel expenses for visiting.
yeah, we've done that a couple times.
Gotta go down there again.
They need
Yes.
some training.
Yes. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I remember that building when I was a kid. It was Sears.
Yes,
Where the Sears was.
yes.
So a long time.
And I think a True Value before that. at some
There was a
point.
True Value in there. There was a Sears in there.
The Sears is in there. That I knew.
I guess back in the day, Bill Schneider had said that his grandfather had a dentist office.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
So way back,
A lot of history there in that building.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome and thank you for coming. And we'll have to introduce Robbie at the next meeting. But I think you might know a lot of us around the room, but we'll just introduce ourselves. I'm Jeremy. I used to be on the city council and chaired this committee since it's started here almost 4 years ago.
Mhm.
I think we kind of we spent a year first to kind of form everything and kind of moving for 3 years, started right before COVID. And then COVID. So that's
Been an adventure.
that's how every committee and everything's being said now. It's all related around COVID.
That's why I
But
tell time now.
yeah, right.
Pre-COVID, post-COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Change the calendar.
but been a long proponent of economic development and so I guess right now I just represent citizens of Sandy in the fact of I don't own I guess my wife owns a piano. Teaches piano lessons in
There you
our
go.
house, but other than that, but yeah, so I'm just gonna make sure everyone knows.
Hans Whipper, co-owner of Whippersnappers Kids Play Place down in Sandy, and been on this since the beginning, I think. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we just branched out. We're now doing bounce house rentals.
Nice.
So
Very nice.
got 2 of them for them.
Do you have a flyer for that?
Kind of, yes. It's on our website. And
Said you want to send us something we can share.
Okay.
Our new Friday.
I was
flyer.
I said on the website.
yeah.
Cool. Another profit center.
I think you know the
I
answer.
And we just met up, Chris Mayton. I'm new to city council, actually, just got elected in November, so I started in January, replacing Jeremy on that seat. Before that, I was on the planning commission for 5 years. And I've lived in Sandy since 2005. So, yeah, it's a little while, but not, I don't remember what was in the mill building.
And soon to be a CEO.
Yeah, maybe.
And we've met
Yes,
many
All
times.
yes.
There are a few more board members. Bill Schwartz with Boring Brewery. He normally is always here.
Yeah, Bill's usually here. I wonder, he must have something going on at the
Yeah,
brewery.
well, it's a nice day out, and I'm
Yeah.
sure for wanting to stay later, probably. And then I don't know who else, I'm trying to think of who else is, Paul Reed. Is he-
Yeah, Paul Reed from Mount Hood Athletic Club, the owner over there. He's a member. He doesn't come very often. Once in a while, he's more remote, but he will come maybe 50% of the time. So I'm sure you'll run into
And
him.
then we've had some people turn over as well, and we shrunk the size down. We kind of started out larger, trying to figure this all out, but then I have some recommendations for me, and so that's to shrink it back to a normal size, so that one, we can get quorums. That can be tough, and just people have busy lives, and you all have busy lives. Is the backgrounds that you guys are in, of being running businesses and those types of things. It's it's not an 80-hour job, right? It's more 80 or 120-hour jobs or a week, whatever. But we do want to respect everyone's time. So I'm pretty good about making sure that we are out of here by 8. Sometimes we kind of go a little longer, but only because we want to sit around and chat. So I think I'm a pretty good timekeeper.
Yeah, no, you have been very good. Yeah.
So I'll help keep us moving along. But if we get out earlier, no one's ever complained about leaving too soon. So, but thanks for that. But before we get going, is there any shout outs from businesses? I know Hans, you mentioned something about bouncy houses here just a second ago. We kind of give a little, just what's going on in the business community. If your own business that may be changing, don't need to report anything. If there's nothing really new to be said, but is there any shout outs we should know about?
Our outdoor structure is all done.
Yes, it is. And it looks phenomenal, I must say.
Yeah, all good.
How have the customers been?
Oh, good.
Liking
It'll be really, they'll start getting used a lot more. Our summer camp start on the 19th, 5 weeks, and they're all sold out, so we'll be using it for that. And we have people, OLCC approved our extension of that, so people have taken their drink out.
Oh,
there and
good.
hung out,
Excellent.
Especially like with the private parties and stuff, so.
yeah.
I was hoping they wouldn't give you too hard of a time about having
No,
it kind of open out.
They didn't even come out and look. They just-
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, next, if they do ever come out, just tell them you know Chris.
Yeah.
Don't say you know me. Don't say you know me. Don't say you know me.
That was a joke, Cass.
Yeah, like I said, we do have the bounce house rentals now. We've got 2 bounce houses, one just a bounce house, the other one's got a slide, a basketball hoop inside, and we'll deliver for free up to 10 miles. And it's for a 6-hour rental from like 11 to 6. Right now, we're just doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just till we get it all figured out. And we'll go from there, see how it takes off. Got our first one on the 16th, Friday the 16th.
Cool.
How you doing with staffing?
I've had 2 employees leave us in the last week. Well, one put in their 2-week notice and one left without notice. So yeah, I could use another employee.
She's a good person to know when it comes to that.
Yes, I missed work first Wednesday, meant to get something in. Next week.
I'll try to remember to let Melanie know to look for something and contact you.
Yeah.
Anything going on in the business chamber side of the world?
I did speak, and now I'm trying to remember how to pronounce the name. It was the boutique and the jewelry place that,
Oh,
Please
Lennox
check.
Drive.
yes, so they are looking to sell.
Yeah, I've talked
So
to him.
they're- oh, yeah, so she'd sent me their information, and there's a lot of it, so I'm like trying to figure out how I push that out to our members about all the details. I forget how many pages it was, but it's got great information. It's-
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She reached out to me and said, I said, well, I mean, I don't know anybody that's looking to buy a small, apparel business, but what I could do for you is post your space. So, if you, she said she has to pay, she's locked into her lease until like March or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But they said if they can find somebody else to take over, they'll let her out of the lease.
Oh, okay.
So I said, yeah, I'd be happy to list your space if you want. She said, oh, yeah, that'd be great. And then that was last I heard of her. I was like a week ago.
What's the
So
name of the place?
Lennox Jai Boutique.
Where's that?
It's where Kay's clothing boutique used to be,
Where was that?
next door to Fauviette.
Where's that?
Over at,
Who?
it's next door to the little Vietnamese place over by Grocery Outlet.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were speaking Greek there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I tend to, when I tend to
We don't
look
shop
for
those
landmarks, I
stores.
speak in restaurants and I go to restaurants that other people don't go to. Yeah, well, wasn't there for very long, so I can understand if you missed it.
One in Estacada, too.
Yeah. I mean, neat stuff. I thought, I don't know, I don't wear women's clothing, but I mean, it looked like quality stuff. I don't know why they didn't do it.
Well, I don't even know if a lot of people
you know,
knew it was there.
I wouldn't hide it if I
Some of
did.
I think is getting them, the message out
Yeah.
there.
Just along those lines, I was talking to Kristen Borgabello, who's my rep for Albanese Cormier, who owns the complex there. And just FYI for everybody, she asks from time to time, because they're based in Texas, if when they have a suite that's open, they don't have anybody local here. So they have a lockbox over there. And if she gets desperate, she'll call me and say, can you show a suite for me? And I always do it for her because they've been pretty good. So I went and showed it the Fauviette place to a sushi guy. Yeah, and he's from Vancouver, really nice kid. And it sounds like he's interested. So it's called Yi Sushi, Y-I Sushi, and I think the only place he has is in Vancouver right now, but he said something about multiple stores. So it'd be a different type of restaurant for Sandy, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Always like, new options like that.
All right. Well, thank you. Any shout outs, anything?
I can't think of anything.
That's okay.
I'll be more very nice.
Anything you want to chat about the city or?
I have nothing new to add that's not already in the public, so.
Well, I want to say that the Sand Bar is quite nice. We just went out there on a nice sunny day, sat outside under the covered structures, I love our covered structures.
I do too.
I think it's one of the best things we did during COVID, even outside of COVID, we couldn't, that just helped us get it out there versus it would have been a much harder fight if it wasn't for COVID.
Right.
But is great because just, the ambiance of Highway 26 noise is, positive sometimes, we enjoy having a beer and that, but just sitting there with everybody else. This was like the first day they were open.
Oh, man, nice.
Before the pre-opening or whatever. And I think they did a great job of serving, because it's always a little sketchy, but, with trying to figure out wait staff, but there's a lot of people out there and they did great things about it, so.
How was the food?
It was good.
Good.
I can't remember what I had, but it was good, so. But yeah, no, it's so give it a try. I'm glad it's open, not just, almost open for. a
Right,
year,
right.
so.
Well, he's been champing at the bit to get open too, because he was ready to go a couple of months ago, but he's had a few things he's had to, the building department, and he has had to go back and work on that. I think all that's fixed.
All right, and any updates from the city of developments going around? We know we got 362nd, any other businesses that we should be aware of?
Let me think. Yeah, 362nd and Bell. I just got an update on that today. That from Thomas. That is going shockingly according to plan. Which there's always in projects like this, things always come up. But yeah, no, he said there's even a possibility. He goes, I wouldn't put any money on this, of course, because it's a public works project. But there's a possibility they might even get it done before.
Well,
They thought they were.
Council better, take that to the bank and advertise that.
Yeah.
Got it done earlier.
But he said definitely the
Under budget too.
well, yeah, let's not get crazy now.
Under budget.
Are they building the turn lane? Is that what they're working on?
It looks like it. I saw it.
Yeah, and I think they're still working on kind of stitching where 362nd comes into US to 26. That's a lot more complicated than it looks. I've been told,
Yeah, but it
so.
looks like they're putting it turn lane now.
Yeah.
Is that barn gonna get torn down this way?
No, that's part of the deal. The landowner wanted to keep the barn as a heritage building, I guess, so.
Well, he's still got 40 cow or something back there too, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, the blind cows, because he does welding in there too. Yeah.
Well, that's,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the
I'm
deal
gonna
is
look
with
at
cats.
those.
well, the structure was next to it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
but yeah,
exciting.
yeah, and I think the barn, I don't think he plans on using the barn for anything again. It's just kind of a heritage side. Hey, this was here 100 years ago, whatever. But no, the surface is going to be done in August and the road will be open in August. And I'm going to hold them to that.
Right before
Somehow.
school starts and traffic.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. They wanted to get done before the school year started.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what
We're gonna have to figure out
else?
how to do traffic again, because the new road and all that. Drop
Drop
off.
Oh, right.
Turning left
That's
versus
always-
right, it's gonna be, they'll get it figured out.
They will. Oh, I did have one other thing. The building at 38888 Pioneer, that is where the daycare center used to be,
Yeah.
has been sold.
Oh,
The new owner is a business owner from Estacada, very nice guy. Kelly and I had a long conversation with him today. It sounds like he is going to be putting a little bit of money into the building, so that's good. That one's a little complicated over there in that, some of the things he wants to do, and I won't get into too much detail because it's all kind of planning at this point anyway, might end up, we're gonna have to talk to him about that street there, the side street there, because at some point that's gonna need to be redone and he's gonna be on the hook for some of that. That being said, he's walking into this thing. We had a really good conversation today. He's very aware of the limitations of the property and what he needs to do to fix it up. And it sounds like he wants to split it into 2 suites because it's 4,400 square foot building, and that's hard to find a tenant for that much space in a building like that. So, but there's a very easy way to split it into 2 suites that'd be about 2,200 square feet each. He says eventually he wants to even maybe put another building on the lot behind it. Maybe that would be mixed use. So you'd have some commercial on the bottom, maybe 2 or 3 apartments on top. So we would love that.
So he's just gonna rehab it and rent it out.
Yeah, that's phase 1 is rehabbing the building. He's going to apply for a facade grant, which I'm strongly encouraging him to do, to kind of get rid of that Western facade look on the top if he can. He really doesn't like that, and we don't either. So that's kind of what Kelly and I were talking to him about today. For the facade grant, he's going to have to add some sandy style elements to it, and he's aware of that. So we're kind of going around looking where we could do that, and I think we're going to be able to work it out just fine. So,
okay. And how about the Studebaker building?
the Studebaker building,
If you don't know where that one is, it's in the corner right here at 211.
AKA the Smith building, or yeah.
Across from Joe's Donuts, basically.
Yeah.
Across from Joe's Donuts.
So I'll just be honest, the owner's kind of all over the place right now. He has invested some in the building, which is great, put a new roof on it. I think I told you a couple times ago. He is now, the city is did the design work for him for around 211 because you have to put a retaining wall and there's no sidewalk or curb or anything there. So from where on 211 where it starts on 26 down around Tupper, he's going to have to do all of that. That's going to be a little expensive. So the city did the design work for him, and now he's looking at maybe modifying that a little bit. He's not sure if he wants to put a parking lot in the back or not. I think he's starting to lean towards it, which I think is a really good idea. And then after that, he doesn't know. He sandblasted the entire inside of the building. So if you go over there and look in the windows, you can see it looks totally different on the inside than it used to. It's actually starting to look kind of nice on the inside. And he's torn out a lot of the stuff that was built without permits and all that. So it's starting to look more like a traditional empty building now. But he has it listed for sale. He said if the right person comes to him and buys it, he'll sell it to him. But that doesn't necessarily mean he wants to sell the building. It's just he's keeping his options open, basically.
Wasn't there a brewery looking
Yeah.
at it?
Well, he's a co-owner of oh God, and the name of the brewery always escapes me, but it's one of the breweries from downtown Portland. And that's one of the plan ideas is to convert the interior, the interior of that into a tasting room on the empty side, and then a few just standard suites that he'd lease out. And the development option was always between that concept or a natural grocery store. And I love both options, but the grocery store has to have a parking lot, and it would, then you get into distribution problems with, well, are there any other natural foods grocery stores out here? I don't think Natural Grocers, I don't think that's big enough for them, the one in Gresham. And, all the other ones, New Seasons were just not big enough for New Seasons. And, like Green Zebra or something that might work, but there's no other stores like that out on the east side except in Portland. And I'm just wondering if that would be even viable. I don't know. He would know more about that than me, but for right now, he's just leaving his options open. So there's a number of different things that could happen on that property.
What about Barlow Trail?
He's getting close. He's getting really close. And Barlow Trail Vet Clinic, this is the lot, the empty lot next to the Action Center. That was bought by Barlow Trail Vet Clinic a long time ago because they're too small for the facility that they're in. It's an old house. And so he's going to build a new, brand new building in that space. And I can't believe that he's got this all together, but he really is. He's ready. I think he's just waiting on, I don't know if they're waiting on the moratorium. I don't think they're waiting on that because he was approved a while ago. So it's just a question of, I don't know, maybe financing at this point. But he's getting really, really close.
Cool. All right, well, why don't we jump in, David, and we'll hand it off to you.
Okay.
And this is item 6, or 6.1.
Yeah.
Um,
So for those of you who weren't, or who this is your first time, Marcel, we have been working on Sandy's inaugural economic development strategic plan. This is it. We just got the final copy approved last time around. This is the first time Sandy's ever had an official plan on how to move forward with economic development. I mean, we've had in the past, but they've been things that were produced internally. So this is the first time we've had a professional company that specializes in this sort of thing put a plan together for us. These guys put plans together for McMinnville, Astoria, Warrenton, a lot of other cities in Oregon. They work mostly in Oregon and Washington. So like I said, this is the final copy, and it's basically divided into 6 primary goals for that we would like to kind of focus our economic development efforts on. And those goals are then broken down into strategies and actions. So I think the best way that I found to look at this to kind of give you an idea of how this is organized is maybe to look at one of the implementation pages in the back, like say page 23. So this is for goal 1. Goal 1 is listed right on the top of the page: improve systems to ensure broad and durable access to economic opportunity and maintain Sandy's high quality of life, a really high level 30,000 foot goal. Then the first strategy under that: improve access to healthcare, childcare, job training, and assistance program, getting a little bit more specific. And then the strategies down below 1.1 there on the page, 111, 112, 113, those are very specific strategies on here's how you go about improving access to healthcare, childcare, job training, all that. So that's how this is organized. Like I said, there's the 6 goals. I should maybe go through them real quick. Yeah, I'll just read them real quick so we can kind of refresh our memories here. Goal 1, improve systems to ensure broad and durable access to economic opportunity and maintain Sandy's high quality of life. Goal 2, leverage our investments in technology to maximize economic benefits. Goal 3, build on our assets in manufacturing to establish Sandy as a destination for metals fabrication and related activities. And we'll explain why that in a bit. Goal 4, cultivate innovation in specialty food and beverage industries and align with the region's robust food storage and processing sector. Goal 5, invest in hospitality and place-based tourism to make Sandy the most active and vibrant base camp for Mount Hood area adventures, so outdoor recreation and getting up on the mountain. And goal 6, be a leader as both retail and hub and heart of East Clackamas County. We are the market center for East Clackamas County. A lot of people in the villages and even people in Estacada, Boring and around shop in Sandy Bank and Sandy do all that. So that's something goal 6 is kind of has an asterisk next to it along with goal 1. Those are the really, really, really important goals in my opinion. So anyway, I thought maybe the plan tonight would be to just kind of go over some of these strategies and actions, particularly ones that kind of stuck out to me and or Jeff and or a few other people, and just kind of get your feedback on it. We're not necessarily asking you in many cases, do we want to go left or right here? It's sometimes it's a little bit more general than that, but I just kind of want to get your thoughts as I start planning on how to tackle this, where I should start, what you guys think is the low hanging fruit here, what things maybe are time sensitive to look at, to put on the top of my list. Are there particular items? Well, that's what I said. Should we consider starting with and why? And another question I had, and this is just for a couple of items, is which one of these items are going to require additional funding? because, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but my budget isn't particularly large, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be. It just means that when we move forward on some of these economic development items, some of them are going to cost money, and we'll need to figure out where that money's going to come from. One in particular, and that's one of Jeremy's favorite actions on this. And I'll just get right into that. And that's under goal 6. Some of these aren't in order. I'm sorry, I kind of was going through this yesterday and I wasn't really paying attention to order. The first one I want to kind of ask your opinion on is under goal 6, and it's strategy 6.1.2. Calls for a new retail market survey. This is something for those of you that don't know, and Hans is very familiar with this document. This is a document that basically puts our community together in a nutshell and talks about specifically retail businesses, retail and service businesses. What do we have? What do we have a shortage of? What do we have too much of? What do our citizens, what don't we have that our citizens want to see us have? Those sorts of things, and kind of some, no, you're fired. Get out of here. Bring up a pool in my economic development advisory board. How dare you? But anyway, so it's a report that we have done by an outside company. Typically, we've had them in the past done by Marketech or a company like Eco Northwest or something like that, if you're familiar with them. It costs a little bit of money. They're not super expensive reports. Jeremy, I went back and looked at, we had a retail market report all ready to go. We had put out an RFP. We talked to 3 different companies. We picked the low bid and we're ready to go. And then COVID happened. And we had to call them back and say, well, maybe now's not the best time to look and see how well our businesses are doing, because they're all doing poorly, just like they are everywhere. So we kind of put it on hold. And now this is something where this is an important enough document. And I think this is one of those things that we should really start with, or at least get going, because it takes 2 or 3 months for a contractor to get through this. They have to set up a number of different events here in town, talk to our citizens and find out, you know, what is it that you want? What do we have that we don't have? That sort of thing. When we approved the one last time, the low bid came in at 15,000. So they're not particularly expensive. I would imagine they're probably going to be a little bit more expensive this time around, but not, you know, probably 18 or 20 or something like that.
What's the date of the last one you had?
The last one we did was in 2015. So that's why I think it's really important that we do it as soon as possible. I very much agree with the
This is
chair.
where
on
we
that.
were trying to be at before.
Right.
COVID hit, which would have been 2020, right? Going, hey, it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
We need to do this. And market analysis isn't just about how businesses are doing, it's how the community, what the community needs. What
Demographics.
Also true. Yeah, a lot of demographic information. in
You
there.
mentioned 6.1.2, but 6.1.2 is
Oh,
Pleasant Street.
Did I write down the wrong? Okay, I may have gotten that number
But no,
wrong.
but I don't see anywhere for the city's retail market analysis. It just says Pleasant Street. I don't have another one on here. Is that a mistake? Shouldn't it be the whole city?
Oh, yeah, 6.1.2, yeah. Commission new retail market analysis to determine specific targets appropriate for the expansion of Sandy's retail business sector with focus on Pleasant Street and newly developing areas. I think that's their.
Okay, I
Saying
just want to
fo-
make sure we're just not only doing it on Pleasant Street.
No.
That's what it just
Not at
said
all.
here.
Yeah, just with a focus on Pleasant Street and the new whatever is developed in West Sandy, thinking that those are going to be kind of our centers, but it doesn't mean just businesses in those 2 areas. It's all of our businesses.
Yeah, especially with a new large lot of commercial type
That's
stuff.
what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh, that's. important.
So actually, when this went through, our initial thing was we were doing that before this even came up,
Correct.
right? And so then here, 2 years later, then this came in, you know, COVID's still happening, but it's kind of going away. We got this going, but it was in conjunction with doing that. So I didn't think that was still something we were still searching for money. I thought there was money. in that.
Well, there was money set aside,
We're
but
doing this.
there was, but that was in a previous biennium. So that's, yeah.
We should have known that during the budget process.
Yeah.
Because we need to, that has to get done, because doing this without that was dumb,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And I'm not being, you know, mean to anybody, it just,
Yeah,
it's like,
I agree.
you have to have that. It's like a 3-legged stool and you just rip one leg out and it's just gonna fall over.
Totally.
So, but anyways, that is really crucial. And it's not just for what we want to do economic wise and development, it's for our citizens that are
Right.
living here, the people that live in here and around our
Well,
community.
it's an
too.
opportunity because someone coming in and say, I want to do business, they look through a list of, oh, this is what people want.
Mhm.
I'd love to have that.
You know, that's-
Yeah, it's
That's
probably the
huge.
biggest, I think, the biggest thing that we can start off with going through this is to have that, because then that kind of dictates a lot of the other things, right?
Right.
Well, could you also just take a look at pages 23 through 29 and say, we put priorities on these things.
Oh, yeah.
There's 12 of them that are listed as high, and there's 21 of them that are medium, and there's 3 of them that are low. So if we pull out the 12 that we agreed on, city council agreed on, that these are our high priorities. If you're asking us, what do we focus on? Maybe we prioritize those 12 because they've already been selected by us as a group and committee and council, agreed that those were our priorities. Which ones do we do first? And like to your point, that Pleasant Street is a high priority,
Mhm.
whether that's our first priority or our 12th priority, without looking at the 12 priorities on as a whole, I would be hard pressed to say which one's more important than another one, right?
I think there's just the one that has quicker opportunities to, it could be high priorities, but there's some easy wins.
Yeah.
You
Low
get
hanging
going
fruit.
on that,
Yeah.
that we can see. That would just be one. There might be something that can be done right away, or something that may take, it's a high priority, but it's gonna take a couple of years to do. Or we start that work, but it's, we have other things that get in the way, like a landowner that, on my dead body, am I gonna,
Mhm.
but yes.
Yeah, the only reason I bring this one up first is because I think there's been general agreement, not just here, but also with the council and everybody, that this is something we do need to pursue. And we did have funding set aside for it. So I think if I can find out, I need to confirm, hopefully tomorrow, we don't have to do another RFP for this because we already went through the RFP process. Selected. Now it's more than a year old, so maybe we do have to do that again. I don't know. I need to check with Jeff on that.
Well, it sounds like it's under the threshold of an RFP. but-
Yeah, I mean, if they're coming, yeah, that's right. RFPs have a threshold like 50 grand, don't they?
Well, it depends on what the regulation of the government is. So mine is 150.
Oh, right.
I
Yeah.
don't know what the city is saying.
Yeah, so we may not have to go through an RFP for this anyway. So then it would just be a matter of talking to Tyler and saying, okay, we did have money set aside for this at one point. That's probably, since that was a previous biennium, it's probably not there anymore, but council did say that I think it was a unanimous vote too, that they did want to see this happen. So what do we need to do to set aside or to find that money again to pay for this? And then I just call Marketech or whoever it is that we decided on and say, let's get going again. That's just a couple of phone calls. I should be able to take care of all that in a day. And that gets us at least started. That's for them to put the report together, like I said, like a 2 to 3 month process. So at least we can get that going in the background. And that's, and like Jeremy said, that this is a really important report for us to have, especially considering we haven't done one in 8 years. So basically, I was just kind of, I kind of wanted to put that in front of you guys and say, this is like the first thing that I'm going to do. And hopefully I'll get it done and out of the way. And then we don't have to worry about it anymore for a while.
So I guess on goal 6, I'm missing what you're looking at, Chris. You said that there was, what page is 23?
Page
Yeah.
20, go to page 20.
20. Oh, I see.
Mine's page 23.
If you go to page 20, it's saying a little bit more, at least my page.
Yeah, they have the page,
Looks like this.
the page 20. See, that has all the details in it.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the chart, the Excel chart that's
Mhm.
got,
Oh,
it comes right after that. And
Yeah.
it talks about the prioritization that we agreed on when we made this up, and then also city council
Oh, I see,
approved.
on the probably on the right-hand side.
Yeah, it's on the right hand side.
So you focus on the high priority.
Yeah, which 6.1.2
It's a high.
is.
Yeah, it is a high, yeah.
So, and what I said, there was 12
I-
that we identified as high priorities. I would like to look at all 12 of those and then prioritize the 12 as the steps to take, is what my suggestion was, because they're all what we consider to be high priorities, and figure out which ones are more immediate, which ones are longer term, you know, I think that's what Dave, I heard you asking for.
Mhm, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's 6.1.2, it does say Pleasant Street.
Yeah, I think that's an error. That should not say Pleasant Street. Our retail market analysis is more than just our downtown. I will,
Then 6.2.1 is also as parts of the Pleasant Street Master Plan.
yeah.
Because you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, no, 6.2.1 is a different, that's the Pleasant Street Master Plan,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, standalone. Also, and you know, that's also listed as high, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And I don't know, maybe that this question can be answered here, but I don't, is this something that council feels is something that is a high priority? In your opinion, Chris? The Pleasant Street Master Plan, it's 6.2.1. And this is something that, this is something we've actually been talking about
Is this
for a
the
long
final
time.
document?
Yeah.
Because there's another error that I caught last time.
Where is it?
6.1.1, anchor retail in 263 second. It's supposed to be 366.
Yeah.
Mine says 367.
Mine says 263rd.
Yeah. Wait, where did you bring
Page
No, I just grabbed.
page 30?
30.
Yeah, mine says 367.
Oh, wait, no, you're looking at a different page.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm on page 30.
Oh, it's right, it's, okay.
Yeah, I know, it's so, I caught this one because I know it says like.
Mhm.
So they corrected it in the written document.
Yes,
but they didn't correct it
correct
in
it
the
here.
draft.
So in the written document is the Pleasant Street.
So I would,
Six.
speaking of vacant properties and stuff, I would think the higher priority would be to get the
Yeah,
core street, like La Bamba, the old La Bamba, and those places filled before we start trying to fill up Pleasant Street.
well, except for the part of like economic gardening or getting the street and that type of thing done, because more businesses around it
Right.
are going to be, you know, when track that, more people will go to that area. That's the kind of the idea. So,
And there are going to be some variables involved in, you know, across this plan that we're just not going to have as much control over as we'd like. And that the old La Bamba building is one of those variables. It's owned by a person who's very, very old and isn't interested in transacting.
so I think we're talking about the new one.
No, old
Yeah.
La Bamba.
I agree with you. If there was any building in town that I want to see occupied tomorrow, it'd be that one.
That one in the.
And the
old
Smith building.
Sandy River Brewing.
Oh, well.
That's what I'm saying.
Building
There's
has
a bunch
some
of pretty high profile empty.
Yeah.
properties sitting right on the main streets. It would be nice to get.
I think
filled
some of
before
them
you
is the
go off
land
the
or the
next-
property
I know.
owners, so that's.
Yeah.
it's like-
Well, and that's a
So
question.
the
That's
point,
something
like,
that
some
we'll
of
have to
it's gonna
address.
be
this year.
Held up because the property owners,
Yeah.
and we know
Yeah.
that until they, well, you just said the one down here just sold.
Yeah,
And we had
and
a huge issue with, well, both
Yeah.
buildings.
well, that whole
Baker-
block there, you know, that was one of those generational things where we had to, if you recall, the lot that Barlow Trail is going to build on now, there used to be 3 shotgun houses and an old garage on that. We kind of had to wait for, that was all owned by a family trust, and we kind of had to wait for that to finalize before we can talk to the property owner, because, you know, some family owners own, one family owner owned this lot, a different family owner owned the lot next door and all that. So that all kind of got worked out, and we had to wait for a while for that to get worked out before I could cut a deal with the guy that finally ended up with control over the trust to say, hey, we'll pay for you to tear these houses down because they're attracting, you know.
Mhm.
So sometimes you just have to wait for generational change like that. Eventually, we will address all of those. You know, like the Smith building we're addressing right now, and the one that I was talking about earlier, the daycare. There's movement on those. So it's believe me, I get frustrated by those as well.
All right, so to keep going with time.
Yeah, yeah.
We're still talking about the same first one, and what has been proposed, or what we're talking about with inside this, and is the other one, depending on which sheet you're looking at, 362nd or 263rd. 260, 30, anyway.
Third,
362nd and that, I think there's an opportunity there that would rise that to the top of why an importance from this body to be high priority, because the road's going in, we have someone actively before the road went in to sell it. And so, we have months, in my opinion,
Mhm.
to be able to capitalize on, I mean, it's always gonna be there, but, really capitalize on that.
Is a quick update on that property, Skipper London property, is it sold, is it selling, is there a buyer?
Wish I could tell you.
Until the road gets done, I think.
Yeah.
People are keeping things pretty close to the vest because,
Right.
big piece of property usually are bigger players that
Yeah.
don't want anything to be known until the last minute, so they don't get,
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been involved in any of the discussions with either Bob Skipper or the Lundin family. So Jordan was kind of doing that one on his own. So I don't really know where that is.
and while.
Who's in contact with them now?
That's a really good question. Jeff, I think.
We'll have to reestablish. We'll
Yeah,
just-
yeah.
see
I mean, we knew that
right
was going to
away.
happen, but
Well, for me, the retail market analysis, I mean, I hear what you're saying, it sounds like a good way to, when I look at all the gold strategies at a glance, it's more than just 6.0. A lot of these are part of retail, so it makes sense. It's gonna drive and help us accomplish some of these other things.
Yeah.
Foster entrepreneurship and drive new business creation. Well, if people know what are the businesses that people want to have nearby, that can help with that. Or when I see 1.1 improving access to healthcare, childcare, job training assistance program, well, that retail jobs are perfect for that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So it seems like it would solve a lot of different problems.
indeed. All right. Well, that helps me out
Is
there.
there-
That's kind of where
So
I
under
come
6,
from.
is there any? In the same thing.
Yeah, the only other high priority one on number 6 is the Pleasant Street Master Plan. And
And that can be even done right now. You have a master plan already.
Yeah.
It's about implementing it.
yeah, exactly. It's about codifying.
And how much of that is economic development side of things right now versus having it be, planning?
With with Kelly being our only planner right now, I offered to take on Pleasant Street Master Plan. And I have already kind of rewritten the plan once, but we're going to have to do a little bit more work on it to make it presentable to bring it in front of council again, because a lot of things have changed since we originally worked on that.
And it got torpedoed politically too.
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah, I mean, there's with large projects, there's always going to be naysayers. Got to
Yeah.
deal with that. So that's all for number 6. I mean, unless we want to talk about that a little bit more, that's pretty much all I had for goal 6. Is there a particular goal you guys want to look at? Because I've got notes on all of them.
The second one I know this isn't a priority for me, but I mean, as the ones that I looked at for high priority, I like 2.2.2.
Okay.
Which I thought if we were gonna engage in, especially with the things that are happening in Sandy right now. And what we're trying to do with our IT market, identifying partnerships and economic development partners in the greater Portland region and East Clackamas County region to develop and distribute working federal communications of the benefits of SandyNet to remote workers and other target audiences. And that just felt like it was, to me, the right timing, low cost. It's really just time and networking.
Yeah.
Right. That we could actually start engaging with almost immediately to start communicating the benefits that we already have in place.
Yeah.
It was also listed as a high priority, so.
Yeah.
So it kind of went in line with it.
Yeah, I really like that action too, because I've always felt that, that's SandyNet's biggest draw is to people that work from home. And there's a lot of opportunity there in marketing to people saying, hey, if you work from home, you should really consider living here. I mean, for a number of reasons, but the most important being, we have the best, internet connectivity you're going to have in the region. And that's important.
So right now, I think, obviously, saying that, I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, I figured you might have a few comments on this one.
What I fear though right now, so keeping it at the top of the list for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just have a moratorium, and so people can't move to town because sometimes there's not houses that, moving business out here. Let's work from home and move out,
Yeah.
What's their business?
space, yeah, but this is, so there's the aspects of that too, right? Business space, so, but yeah. So I guess that goes back to, sorry, I was thinking about the home aspect of it, the moratorium and not.
But there are some developments still in the works that haven't, that were under the, like over by Bornstead, there's gonna be a whole development, right?
Yeah, there's some
By the
housing
splash
developments that
pad.
were approved prior to the moratorium. That's what the 120 ERUs are being, well, now I guess it's gonna be 300 ERUs are gonna be reserved for the ones that are already have land use approval.
They're saying like 33% of the workforce is probably never gonna go back to working in the office.
Yeah,
So. it's
Yeah.
not-
No, I agree. It's,
And we should
We set
be
our-
capitalizing and advertising.
we
that.
set ourselves up immensely. We just need to finish.
yeah.
sewer water.
Well, do you guys know what your current capture is? Like, what percentage of
People
households?
have
Yeah, it's
standing
a little over 80%.
over 80%, which is unheard of in the nation anywhere.
I was gonna say, I mean, is it realistic to get more than that?
Yes, I
Well,
think it is.
well,
There's
it's not
opportunity
just-
out there. There really is.
That's my area.
It's
Yeah.
not,
It's gonna
well,
be all over.
Yeah, rural, yeah.
so that's on the sandy net board. We talk about that one, expanding it, but it's also about the using the fiber or marketing towards having businesses and that, because they do have that.
Yeah, 221 and 222 kind of are the Ps of it, right? Because 221 is business and 222 is residential. The gaps in both of those in driving. And it's really the marketability of that. I thought, when I read it, that's what I took it on is our ability to market and network.
I see it the same. You know what? These are confusing because this talks a little bit different than this. And so you gotta read because when you read it, I'm like, I don't see the home part of it, but then, oh, wait, you know.
Yeah, go back to
You
the
gotta go
written
back this
side,
one and it's
right.
saying that. So that's why I'm saying, I didn't read that in this, but you're right.
Well, this is actually something that Greg and I have been talking about off and on for a long time. I've been trying to encourage him to, if nothing else, to at least advertise a little bit more because he did have a little bit of a budget for it. I love that he got the billboard down there. That's fantastic. But oh yeah. No, and he's doing some sponsors for Mountain Days, which is great.
And I was selfishly thinking about 362nd extension because you're gonna have all of that street frontage that is gonna need little business on the bottom, which is gonna be developed into apartments on top, which is.
I hope so.
Right.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine it any other way. It's what's gonna be on that strip and it's. we're
On
gonna-
Bell Street or
On Bell, yeah.
on the north side of Bell Street.
Yeah.
I see bottom floor, commercial, I see top floor residential. And I mean, just from my planning commission days, that's
Yeah.
just what I see is gonna be there.
Yeah. And if that turns out to be the case, I'll be the happiest guy fan because that means we'll have all kinds of retail
But
space.
that's why we need to go out and attract that to
Right.
us.
Yeah.
So yeah, the sandy net part of it. So a lot of these have tentacles into other departments.
Yeah, but again, that would be myself and Greg working together pretty well. And we work pretty well together, me and Greg. So I think I'm actually very much looking forward to that. For my own education too. I want to know how to be able to market this concept better, just in general, because it's something that we have in abundance. But I want to learn more about people working from home, businesses operating from home, and how, what it is they're looking for, the different amenities that they're looking for from their provider and that sort of thing, and see if we can meet that. I think one of those things is Greg has mentioned recently that there is actually kind of a market out there for larger than 1 gig connections. He's talking about 2 and 5 gig connections now. And I had no idea that there was a market for that. I figured a gig would be plenty for anything you need to do, but he said, no, they're actually getting requests for larger pipes now. So I want to know why. I want to know why. Okay, if you want a 5 gig connection, is it just a vanity thing, or because it could be, but maybe there's a reason you need that connection, and I'd love to learn more about that. What are people doing from using their homes for other than just surfing the internet and getting IPTV and stuff. So anyway, I personally, this is going to be really interesting to me. But yeah, that seems. In goal 2, those two things linked together seem like that's the core of the important stuff there.
How about any other goals? We'll look at 6 and 2.
I had a question, sorry, I don't mean to monopolize, but.
No worries.
on 5, 3, 4.
Okay.
the key word that got me there was existing plans. So implement existing plans. So that means we don't have to create anything. We've already got a plan in place. All we just need to do. The question became is what resources are needed to be able to do.
And that is a good question because I am not super familiar with that, but Rochelle is. Yeah, that to me says that there are, you know, and I do know there's multimodal transit plans there because I've been talking with Andy about that with Vision Around the Mountain. So yeah, that to me says, again, there's existing plans and we just need to figure out how to implement them.
And I mean, the plans to establish the downtown park, that just went through city council recently. So that's through the budget committee that's been funded. So that's, you know, it's. and
Which
then
is the downtown part? Where's that?
It's on the back of the hill.
Where the pool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Aquatic center.
Oh, that one.
Not to say the four-letter word.
It's not really down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, don't make me
Building-
fire you, Marcel. It's your first meeting.
Gotcha.
And they did approve in the budget phase 1 and 2. So it will be the full park. It'll take a couple of years to finish, but it will be there.
When do they want to break ground on that?
I don't know
It's
that.
supposed to be done, I think, July 25, I think. And it's not too far from now when you're going to start to see some activity over there, I think. There's a page on it on the city's website if you wanted to look.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and so looking just for some of the priorities of not having each one from each goal right now, just getting going. We'll have other meetings and we'll talk about but what other goals we want to kind of bring up to the forefront. We want them all.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
5, I think that with that property, the gaps in lodging, it's a good time to go after some small motel or hotel.
Agreed. There was one that Elliot mentioned in his presentations called Lodge, LOGE hotels. It's kind of, it's a kind of a boutique hotel for outdoor recreators, skiers, snowboarders, hikers, mountain bikers, all kinds of stuff like that. That seems to me, I mean, I looked at their website and I kind of looked around a little bit and there, it looks like a relatively new company because there's not a lot of information there yet. But boy, those hotels look really cool. And I mean, they're in places, you know, outdoor recreation places in the Northwest, like Leavenworth and like Bend. And if I'm really, I mean, I almost kind of want to go to Bend and check out and see what their facilities are like there. Yeah, okay, let's do it. We have to stop at Sun River Brewing.
No problem.
Okay, done. But I mean, I wonder if there's other, again, this is one that I'm gonna have fun researching because I wonder if there's other boutique hotels out there like that. I mean, if we're talking about over by in the new area of town, you know, I'm thinking, you know, there might be a traditional hotel. I mean, we've already had one look at that lot behind where they were gonna build the second food cart pod. Initially, there was somebody from,
Athletic club.
yeah, I'd have to look it up. But they were ready, that was in like 2018, and they were almost ready to build a hotel then. What they told me then was you're just a little too small. Well, we've grown quite a bit since then. So I think there would be some interest
I'm
from,
sure there's lobbying groups out there.
sure,
Maybe
absolutely.
even not in territory, we could probably help.
Well, I was just
Travel
gonna
Oregon
say,
would too.
after our
and
Highway
travel Oregon
26
and
Yeah,
advisory stuff, you know, that kind of aligns with some of that.
It
too.
really
So there
does.
Could be some.
and you know
help there.
who's really good at that stuff is Scott Bricker, the guy from Travel Oregon. He's
Okay.
really good at that. So Scott would be a great Scott would be a great person to reach out to just get that discussion started.
reach out to Samara on the board.
That's another, yeah, Samara would be another good one too. Scott Bricker.
In my last meeting, I term out next Wednesday is my last meeting.
Aw.
Oh, on the board, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to term out, don't you?
Yeah,
They-
I have to be off for 6 months and then they can invite me back.
Yeah, and they will.
Been on it for like 10 years.
Samara Phelps, pride of Forest Grove.
But they, I mean, they have the pulse on all the hotels in Clackamas County.
Yeah, they really do. And there's a number of hotels on that board too, aren't there?
There were, I think there might be just one.
Well, Bobby was on the board for a while. She not,
She's been on it for a couple.
Oh, that sucks.
So yeah, I think the lodging one, we talked about this with Scott Lazenby when he was here,
Mhm.
so many years ago, and came close to having.
Again, we were that
I
close.
mean, there was another private company, group, they were coming to a few city council meetings before COVID happened, everything before COVID. But they were looking at the property right on the other side, in between, the Assemblies of God Church and the retirement center in there, right? There's that lot. Was by the
Oh,
retirement-
really?
the Retirement center
Huh.
ended up selling that to a housing development, I think that Catholic charities group or whatever. Anyway, but had been looking at that piece there to put a hotel in.
You get a hotel and it brings other amenities around it.
Yeah, true.
They want eating and stuff within walking distance.
So,
I cannot tell you how many times when we had the visitor center, so we're talking 7, 8 years ago, how many phone calls I got. Your hotel's booked in town. Where can I go?
Mhm.
Where can I stay?
Right.
You know, and Airbnb wasn't as popular then.
Right.
So I don't know if they're getting as many calls, and I still get a few at the chamber office, but that was, I mean, it was weekly, that I get
Yeah.
those calls, and that's huge.
so you have the small ones, but let's not always think small. What about big?
No,
A conference center. Now, COVID killed a lot of conference centers, but I can tell you what, right now, you can't rent
Yeah,
a conference.
That's
center.
really true.
There's nothing in East Side Clackamas County except for the Resort of the Mountain for a conference center. If you do know of one, let me know, because I'm trying to rent one. For about 350 to 400 people.
Wow.
And there is.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Nothing.
It's
We were
true.
just talking about this at our ambassador meeting, because we have an ambassador convention that they do each year, and it's down in Klamath this year. Well, we were like, gosh, we'd love to be able to partner with Mount Hood Chamber and SK Chamber and do one, but we don't have a place
It's not-
big enough for,
Yeah.
and
So,
they do tours. I mean, they go, so it's like all your chamber people from all over the state, you know, that
That's
would then
awesome.
be helping to promote your city. So like, I talk about Lebanon all the time, because we went there for the one I went to,
Mhm.
and it was awesome.
and I can tell you right now, no one wants to be in Portland.
Yeah,
We
that
won't
is
even look at
definitely
them,
true.
we won't even, and they've just gone a pot, literally pot. But then we went to the Columbia River one, and right across the store was this pot store right there, and they have the fences up right around it. You can't, it looks, and the grass this tall, you know, it's just like, come here for your conference and spend $100,000 for your conference, you know, like, you know, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Or in downtown Portland. So what happens is these other ones aren't big enough. But anyway, it's just an idea that going, someone's gonna get one on the east side of the county, and they wanna be a little bit farther outside of the metro region. Why not Sandy?
Yeah,
Right along going up to the hood.
That's a fair
So-
point.
and I get lots of calls for where to hold conferences and such too.
And I remember when I was talking to the hotel developer from the Lazenby days, when we were looking at the hotel up there, that was almost as important as how many rooms can you put in here, was how much conference space can you put in here, because that's going to get used for that. Yeah, and I remembered actually helping the hotel owner look around here, and the only conference space I could find anywhere around here is that little place on 211
Oh, the camp.
that everybody forgets about, because you know, you drive past, you see the signs. Collins Camp, yeah. And you know, the city did an event there a while ago when Kim was, that's a nice place. I don't know why it doesn't, well, I know why it doesn't get used more. Nobody knows it's there.
And it's not that big.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's not that big.
It's for a small thing, but it is one thing that, you know, we could go after
Mhm.
for that. I think it would be, would get used, the Resort of the Mountain is being really run down, but it can't hold that many people. And they can't hire staff to have it. So a conference we've been holding it for 30 years had it moved to across from Cascade Lodge, Skamania Lodge.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because they
Which is a
couldn't-
fantastic.
It got smaller. I mean, it was this was too small, but it was just, they couldn't hire people, they couldn't have enough staff, because they just can't get the staff to go up to lodges.
Well, and they don't have any housing up there for
For people that.
for
want to
people who
work
are,
there.
yeah, rentals. A lot of people during the pandemic sold their rentals and, you know, have permanent housing now, and they don't have that short term as much for those seasonal workers. Some of the seasonal workers too, we had heard from our meetings with.
Mhm.
Anyway,
county too.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I like, you know, researching the gaps in the lodging options there. That's
Yeah.
Number 5.
I am definitely looking forward to that. And like I said, I know who to talk to about that. So I know how to get that.
Kind of got one from each.
And they all kind of go hand in hand, I feel too.
Yeah.
I think all of these, it can take a hand, you're putting it into it, the fingers go into each one of them, so. What else do we have here? We wanna,
Just really briefly, that 5.2.4 outdoor recreation marketing. That's again, something that just requires a little bit of funding, and it really doesn't even require that much. We used to fund stuff like that through Mount Hood Territories CPP grant program. That program no longer exists, unfortunately. So that, like, for instance, that paid for our Sandy's bike map, that paid for our parks map. And there was one other thing that it paid for too. That's
some
escaped.
bikes for autos, didn't it?
It also paid for the whole bike rental program at Autos. That was one of Scott Lazenby's greatest little projects he ever did, was he ended up using that money to expand their business. We used that money to pay for the Mining Park Arch. It was a great grant program, but it was for small projects like that.
Territory did open up the grant program again.
Yeah,
There's
but that's
grant opportunities for.
the SIP grant. Yeah, I was on the review panel for that, actually. And that is a great grant program, and we're going to apply. There's one of the goals in here is about vision around the mountain. Andy and I have already talked. We were going to apply for that SIP grant this time around, but we just didn't have enough time. But I've got a really, really good grant program, and especially after being on the review panel for that, I know how that grant works now. I can guarantee you we're gonna get that grant in the fall. So, and that will be for the Mountain Hood Express to kind of expand, not necessarily services, but to make the stops more just comfortable and definitely more ADA compliant. So.
I wonder on this one too, if that's something we can go back to the Highway 26 steering committee too.
Probably.
Because they had, mentioned maps when we were doing some of that and got excited about the bike, some of those. So I got the feeling that maybe that was something that they could help with some funding on some of these type of things as well.
Well, I have been pressing Jim Austin to say, boy, sure would be great if that CPP grant could come back someday. It's like, well, I don't know, but if it doesn't come back, maybe we'll do something. So I'm really kind of keep poking him in the ribs until they come up with
But I'm wondering
something.
if they have some, set aside for the program we're already working on, that would cover some of that too.
Maybe.
Keep
Be worth
focusing on
asking.
Territories. We've got a pretty good budget right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they haven't had to spend any money.
No, and
Say later,
and
everybody
the
off.
collection amounts are back up to 2019 level.
Oh, they are.
Oh, yeah.
That's excellent. Okay.
And
cool.
they're gonna start, in the next year or two, probably start collecting on short-term rentals. Transit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the state's doing that, right?
They have, Clackamas County we're starting a program. Blank pages on there.
Yeah. What the hell happened here?
I had that one. I saw it.
You had it, and I literally,
Oh,
you're walking in, I threw it on top of your other one, and we all been waiting for you to.
To get there.
to get to that one, yeah.
Page after page. It's a facade.
But anyway, one of the things for 5.2.4, just really quickly, one of the project that I thought for that would be, and I told Jeremy about it a little bit, is an outdoor recreator's guide or a tourist's guide to East Clackamas County. And basically, it would be something, wouldn't be just for Sandy. We'd want to include some stuff in Welch's, some stuff on the mountain, maybe one or two sites in Estacada as well. But it would basically be focusing on, like, part of the reason that I don't really like the county's hiking guide is because there's like one or two trails all over the entire county, and we really need to focus on the 26 corridor and what's around here. So, and I would include all the hiking, all the mountain biking, even equestrian stuff, fishing, everything I can pack into something like that so that we can, get that out there and show people, hey, not only do we have a ton of stuff to do out here in the Mountain Hood corridor, but you can also get here by public transit, So anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I just wanted to mention that one I definitely want to do.
The last one I was gonna mention is 114, and it's only because
I'm on that page.
I sit on city council, and I know we had an
Oh, God, yes.
city councilor that was really an advocate for childcare. We've been talking about trying to attract people to our community. They're going to have children. Talking about bringing people who want to work here. we're gonna have children, we're gonna need childcare.
Indeed.
And we already need childcare. We don't have enough.
22
of it
years
now.
ago, I had to drive to Gresham,
That's
you know,
right.
to find without doing home
That's-
daycare.
I-
So,
And
yeah,
I had to drive to
it's
Happy
huge.
Valley.
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, so I think we need to have a focus on developing that side for our city on 114, so.
Yeah, no,
Excellent.
I totally agree. It's, I work at Clash and CSD, so we do more than technology. We do all kinds of things, but one of it's early childhood. And just listening to them going, all these people from the state, everyone coming in and building a child development area there on campus, and just how, hey, Sandy's been working really hard at this, and you hear that, and being part of the council, and then just, but they have such a huge need still, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
just such a huge thing, so being able to talk to it, and having the county come and present here, but then also presenting it at the ESD and how they partnered around. There are some opportunities, David, too, just through the ESD, get connected with how they connect with other state resources and that, because a lot of money flows through them for that. But to your point, we need that here. We have a new place over on Hood Street. But wasn't it just the people that moved from?
Yeah, it's-
They just moved over.
Yeah, it's
They
grandma's
just keep
house.
moving around. It's the same place. It makes it look
But
like.
she has more capacity.
Yeah, she's got quite a bit more space over there now than she had in the other building. I don't know. I haven't talked to
There's
her.
after school care, because I know there's a place right up here that kids get dropped off
Uh,
at Sandy grade, and they put on like orange vests and walk them up in the rain, snow, sun, whatever it is, all the way up by the police station.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Medical Lutheran has,
Yeah.
the church there has it.
That has
Yeah.
like an after school, like, so your kids, if you're working parents, you need your kids to go somewhere, but there, it's full, I'm told. It's.
Can't
Yeah.
get it. And if you can find it, it's not affordable. That's the next.
Well,
big
And
thing.
that's, and that's a
I- I
systemic problem.
Those are the two, just getting more access in Sandy, and then not just access, but affordable access in Sandy. Because-
Yeah.
And I know that there's different demographic classes in Sandy, but the majority of Sandy is middle income, and we need middle income rates.
Agreed.
for shelter.
And that's the problem in a nutshell with childcare, is that how do you have to run a business, so you have to make a profit. And you try and hire labor as cheaply as you can, but you just can't hire anybody off the street to work with little kids, right?
So
So,
state limits how many kids they can keep. so-
Right.
Well, and that was the study that was done on this, that the actual, what they go through and need to do, they'd be getting paid like $60 to $70 an hour. Like,
Yeah.
that's higher than a lot of, but.
that's more than I could pay.
Right, well, yeah, it's a large amount, but that's what the study shows. Of course, everyone's trying to readjust what they get paid, and it's called inflation.
Yeah.
But to that point, though, it's so low that people can't afford to rent an apartment or rent that. So there's a lot of federal funding that needs to happen.
When I moved to Sandy in 2005 was the last year my late wife worked, because we made that decision.
Yeah.
What she was making was not enough to pay for our child support her childcare for 2 kids. So it was like, you might as well just quit and stay home, and we'll save money.
I have a number of friends who
Yeah.
made that same
And we-
decision.
And we did that, which was great on one side of it, but on the other side, why should any family have to do that? They were lucky that I was able to bring enough money to support us, where a lot of families can't.
Yeah, that's true.
They need both incomes.
This is something that we've discussed at Greater Portland Inc. a lot too. This conversation has been going on for quite a while, and there's got to be a way. Matt Lorenzen, my counterpart he used to be my counterpart in Estakitty. He's in Wilsonville now. He brought up something the last GPI meeting I was at when we were talking about this that really kind of struck home with me. And he said, listen, I don't want to rain on everybody's parade here, but I think the solution to this, he goes, I spent a year and a half, my wife and I and my family did living in Iceland. And in Iceland, the preschools and the daycares and the grade schools, can't tell the difference between them by looking at them at all. They look exactly the same. The reason for that is because the government runs all of them. And he says, nobody has to worry about it. He goes, unfortunately, until we get to a point where, this at least the state or maybe the federal level, we're subsidizing this healthcare, I don't think we're going to be able to solve the problem. And I wonder if there are any solutions like that. I mean, I wonder if there's a solution where maybe the city could purchase a property or a building and offer it to a daycare at a really cheap rate or something like, I mean, I don't know. I'm just,
Or there
thinking out
may be other opportunities, like I was mentioning, talking with some folks at the ESD. We bought a building, used some state grant money to do it. And now we're renovating it and having to do that, but we're getting grants and there's other state funding for early childhood, from that birth to 5 years or whatever. There's grants out there to do that. But
There's a
also,
shit ton of grants out there.
they can all, so you can build a place like
It's
that
crazy.
here, apply for it, build it, and then, that's gonna help funding it, which then how that all works, you partner with like the ESD who has the K-12 backing behind it to, as a satellite campus. And then what happens, what they're doing there is they're closing down the other ones in some of the schools to be able, because it's a much bigger, and they're able to give a lot more resources to it. But anyways, just something, there's a lot of money, there's a bill out there right now, to see if it gets passed because of the stalemate in Salem right now, that is looking at, I forget what it is, 300 million extra for just early childhood.
yeah, the legislature, to their credit, has been taking this problem seriously now, so.
Anyways, I think there's opportunities to partner with other agencies to do that, not just the city take it on, it's trying to be that. but
Oh, yeah,
really
indeed.
partner With the county, because there's the county aspect of it too, so.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
I'm-
recognized that Sandy is.
And I'm sure there's state money out there for this as well, somewhere. So, yeah, I like that. I mean, I think the solution here, I mean, we've already kind of adjusted one of our grant programs to kind of help childcare operators get into a building with something like that. If I could kind of incentivize that with more money from outside, like with some county money and all that, maybe we could put together a program where we could get another daycare center or two at affordable rates. And that would have to be, to Chris's point, that would have to be part of it. You'd have to say, okay, how we're going to put you in this subsidized space and that's how you're going to make money, but you can't charge more than this for your services. Yeah.
Well, it's just good collaboration between the business owner and the city, and
Right.
figuring out what's, best for the city, but also best for the business, because you also don't want to dictate to the business what they can and can't do, but because they need to make money too.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It's got to be an equitable partnership, especially if the city's giving the
That's the
space.
balancing line. You don't want to put out the daycare business already here out of business.
Right.
Right.
They're cutting them.
Yeah. Also true.
It's.
My understanding that wouldn't happen because there's such a huge waiting line. So
Yeah, I
You
mean,
get enough daycare providers out here, the price is gonna go down because there's more supply, but.
yeah. But at least for right now, I mean, we could add 3 more daycares and there'd still be wait lists. So, I mean,
people
I
would
think,
come from Happy Valley and drop their kid off.
yeah, they would. And I think maybe if we could, maybe this answer to that is we do sort of like an income restricted, like if you're lower middle and lower middle or lower income, you qualify for this. Yeah. So that way.
I just think with the number of businesses that we're projected to open in the next 5 to 10 years, with all the development happening in Sandy, we need it now.
Yeah, we do.
We're gonna be desperate for it then.
And maybe at that time, some of those maybe larger businesses, they have programs where maybe they'll chip in for their employees to as a benefit for working for that company too. I don't know. We don't know who's when it comes.
I was just going to mention that also. I mean, I wonder if maybe at some point in the future, we go back to the model we used to have where large companies had daycares as part of their facilities. I mean, Nike has 2 full buildings on their campus dedicated to nothing but childcare. And it's still a year's wait to get your kid into one of them.
Well, KinderCare has, at least they used to when I worked for them at their corporate office, they had hospitals that they were attached to, and they'd have, the workers there and such. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we're coming up on the hour. Any other ones you want to highlight, bring out?
Just to finish that out, though, I like that idea of the subsidizing people that need it rather than business. So let's say you qualify for it, you apply for it, you get it, but you can only spend it in the Sandy daycare. So then it's fair to all the businesses. It doesn't hurt the businesses and it still benefits the person.
Or better yet, Sandy just reimburses the daycare directly for having, oh, you qualify? Okay, then we'll just, yeah, or
Something
something.
like that, rather than.
There's a number of different
rather
ways
than
you can do it.
Dictating to the business what they
Yeah.
have to charge, but.
Yeah, I like that better.
So,
Yeah.
And maybe some of it's encouraging them to get the child's care funding through the counties and the states and that, because that's the department I worked in for a long time too there, so the
Free lunch
county and the
programs.
states have those in place
get
for
those
those low
economic benefits,
income
right.
ones, and
Mhm.
such too, and
Okay.
so, I mean, maybe some of it is educating some of
Yeah,
the people
totally.
who own it or the building or the parents to, hey, I think you might qualify. Let's
Mhm.
see if we can get you in on this too.
Yeah, be it the individuals using the service or the business, either way.
Mhm.
Do you guys have a sense for why, there's all this demand, why is the supply not stepping up? Is it just kind of the general thing where unemployment is low and so?
getting
Well-
employees is huge.
Yeah,
Generally
so,
paid minimum wage for your providers are generally paid at minimum wage and your directors aren't paid much more. So it's a lot of work.
and you have to, at this point, I think you have to get certifications and certain things. So there's certain hoops you have to jump through to be able to do it. And then in order to be paid minimum wage,
Yeah.
that's part of the problem. Another part of the problem is the housing crisis here in Oregon. I mean, property is so much more expensive than it was even 5 years ago, right? So rents have gone through the roof and everything. So that, we're all of these things kind of combine to the point where if you're going to make a profit, even if you're full, you have to charge a rate that a lot of people can't afford to pay.
Well,
That's the problem in a nutshell.
And I've probably told you guys this all, or most of you at one point, I worked at kinder care and I had an infant and I had a 3-year-old. And because I'd been there long enough, I actually got 80% off on my son. But then my daughter, because of an infant, but being there long enough, I actually got 50% off. I was still paying $1,300 a month. And that was,
That's
18
painful.
years ago. I couldn't afford with my employee discount to take my child to one of those facilities.
And that's the spotlight that they put on the most is the 0 to 18 months. The cost, and because you have to, there's more certifications involved and everything.
You
I
have to have
understand.
one teacher provider per 3.
Right, and the ratio is smaller,
ratio Until you get up to,
So that gets really
yeah,
expensive.
like kindergarten preschool age was 1 to 9. So by the time you get up to that, they can give you a better discount.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna solve all of them here today.
No, we certainly
But I think.
Certainly
we've
not
got
that
a swath of different goals.
Mhm.
We're going different directions that we can run simultaneously through, right? In that, so hopefully this has given some guidance.
Yes, this has been very helpful, guys. Thank you.
So thank you for all of your comments and helpful insights in that, so. Any other comments before we adjourn? All right, we don't meet every month, so we'll probably meet in a couple months, it'll be summer, so David and I'll
Well,
if we don't need to meet, we won't meet, just because, it's a hard time to.
Do we have it on the calendar already?
no.
Maybe we should work on that so I can make sure that I'm on there.
We typically meet the first Wednesday of the month, every other month. So it would be the first Wednesday in August if we stick to that schedule.
So
which we
most
typically do.
likely, though, the summer one, unless there's something
No, every other month.
We changed it, yeah.
We did here just
Yeah,
in
sorry.
in the winter, just because we needed to get through the plan.
Oh, yeah, we
Oh.
did agree to meet that, yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
so, but in the summertime, just like in city council and others,
Second.
sometimes we skip those because there's not, we're camping or golfing or doing fun things outside, but.
You said the first, not the second?
Correct.
Is that National Night Out?
I have no idea.
So we may not meet until after the summer, just because of how that.
Yeah.
Unless there's something pressing that David needs to bring up, so.
And I've got plenty to do, so.
Sometimes we'll just. All right, well, if nothing else, we'll get you out 3 minutes early.
Thank you.